Sam, it's time for me to introduce you to your new crush.
Go on.
Canadian Club Lemon Crush.
Of course, the taste buds have been screaming for a change.
And Canadian Club Lemon Crush is listening, with its balance of lemony zest and the smooth taste of Canadian Club.
Right now, there are 2,500 six-packs to be won. Scan your can or enter online for a chance, and always drink responsibly.
Canadian Club Lemon Crush. This zesty refreshment is your new crush.
Hope Housing, what you need to know before you say yes. Hello and welcome to Sugar Mama's Fireplay, the podcast where we ignite your financial independence, fuel your early retirement dreams, and empower you to build long-term, sustainable financial freedom and independence. I am your host, financial planner, Canna Campbell. Now, today's episode is actually a subscriber request. We're breaking down a very specific and increasingly talked about topic. Hope Housing. Now, this is a shared equity housing model that's targeted at essential workers who are trying to build and buy homes in areas that they might not otherwise be afford to buy. That is, they've been priced out of. So if you are curious about this scheme and you're considering applying, or you're just wondering if it might help you or someone you know get a step or a foot on the property ladder fast, this is the perfect episode for you. And of course, if you have other requests, you can always DM them to me. But while this may sound like a really generous and promising on the surface that is Hope Housing, there are some important caveats and risks that you absolutely must be aware of. So please know that I'm not recommending it, nor am I recommending it. I'm going to go through all the things that you should know and understand about this so that you can make your own educated, informed decision. So let's unpack what this Hope Housing is really all about and whether it aligns with your financial goals and, of course, your long-term plans. All right, so what is Hope Housing? Hope Housing is essentially a shared equity scheme that helps essential workers buy property in key communities. What they are doing is co-investing with you. So you contribute, say, 70% of the purchase price, and Hope Housing covers the remaining 30%. They don't charge you rent or interest on their portion, but they do share in the future capital growth. So when you go to sell, they receive back their share of the home's total sale price, including, of course, any growth or the gains. And this includes the gains that you may have paid for yourself through doing renovations and improvements. Now, this might help you get into the property market sooner, but it also means you're not the sole owner of your home. So that, of course, does have long-term implications. Now, it's important that you're aware of who is this particular product from Hope Housing is for. As I mentioned, it's designed for essential workers. So essential workers are teachers, early childhood educators, nurses, aged care workers, paramedics, police, and first responders. And then, of course, disability support workers, public transport, and infrastructure employees. If you work in one of these sectors and your income falls within a certain bracket, you may actually qualify to be able to apply. And the goal is to help these workers live closer to where they actually work, especially in high demand metro areas. Now, the key features and the catches are really important that you're aware of. So shared equity schemes like Hope Housing do sound incredible. And this is why this person DM'd me asking for my thoughts and opinions. So here are the most important things that I think you need to understand before you say yes. And of course, I'm just covering on the surface level stuff here. You do need to read the fine print and obviously get personal advice. But let's make sure that you are up to speed with the important stuff that I can see as essential. So the first thing is you carry 100% of the ongoing costs. Even though Hope Housing owns part of your home, you have to pay for everything. So the council rates, strata levies, insurance, like home and contents insurance, maintenance, wear and tear, repairs, even renovations. You want to, put a new wardrobe in, put a new kitchen in, do a new bathroom, that you're covering that cost, and either it adds value to it, they're going to clip their ticket with that, even though they've contributed nothing. Also, if something happens to the property, like the roof starts leaking, you're going to have to pay that cost. So when the property increases in value, which quite often does when you do things, and you do things in a clever way to increase the value, because you've obviously improved that property, Hope Housing is going to get a cut of that. You don't get reimbursed for your contributions. So they are pocketing off your hard work and the expenses that you have funded purely on your own. You need to be comfortable with that. The second thing you need to be aware of is you don't have full control over your property. Because this is a shared ownership, there may be restrictions on what you can actually do, like refinancing or renting it out or even making like major changes to the property. You're going to need to get approval in some situations, which can be really limiting. This isn't a traditional home ownership where you have complete control and you can decide what, how, and when you go and do this. And the next thing is obviously the capital gains are shared. So even when you've done that work and you renovate and you improve and you simply maintain the property over the years and that value increases, even if you do literally nothing but just live in it, when you sell, Hope Housing still receives their agreed share of the total sale price. Now that can feel really frustrating if you've put so much time, love, care, and energy, and of course money into your home. But again, it's good to know about this upfront before you say yes. The other thing you need to be aware of is you're still going to need a deposit, and you still even may need a big deposit. So Hope Housing isn't a no deposit scheme. Depending on the lender and the size of the contribution, you may still need to provide a genuine deposit. And of course, like cover those stamp duty expenses and legal costs, which is not always accessible as some people assume. And then the other thing you need to remember is Hope Housing is not the same as the government's shared equity scheme. This is key. So there's a federal shared equity scheme run by the National Housing Finance and Investment Corporation that allows eligible buyers to co-purchase with the government, typically with no capital gain sharing. So just repaying the equity of the loan that they provided. Hope Housing, by contrast, is a private non-for-profit that shares in that growth, which I've explained throughout this episode. It's not regulated in the same way, which, going to be honest, makes me a little bit worried. And the terms and conditions could change. So you need to be crystal clear on exactly who you're partnering with and what your rights are and what their rights are. And of course, any sort of legal repercussions if they breach it or you breach it. And then the next thing to think about and be aware and understand is your future borrowing capacity could be impacted. Now, I feel like people forget about this or they may not mention this, but it's really important, particularly if you want to look at, once you've bought a home, maybe looking at debt recycling, where you use the equity within your home to go and invest, or you want to take out, say, a margin loan, or you want to go and buy an investment property. Because this property is technically on your record, it still appears in your credit file and your asset base. So if you're going to go and think about maybe investing later and maybe applying for another loan, this could actually reduce your borrowing power. The banks may not like lending money to you on something that you don't own entirely yourself. So it could actually hold you back and be a hindrance.
Callum, it's time to introduce you to your new crush.
Go on.
Canadian Club Lemon Crush.
Of course, the taste buds have been screaming for a change.
And Canadian Club Lemon Crush is listening, with its balance of lemony zest and the smooth taste of Canadian Club.
Right now, there are 2,500 six-packs to be won. Scan your can or enter online for a chance. And always drink responsibly.
Canadian Club Lemon Crush. This zesty refreshment is your new crush.
Now, I'm going to put up a quick post on Instagram to show you the difference between the government scheme and, of course, Hope Housing, so that you have a really clear indication as to how they are different and you can help work out if they're right for you, which one, and of course, if neither of them are right for you. On that topic of is it right for you? I would say that Hope Housing is there to help people buy sooner so that they can stay in their community and stay close to work and to help reduce that initial loan size. But make no mistake, this is definitely not free money and it's not full control of the home. So before saying yes, I would highly recommend asking yourself, am I okay with sharing my home ownership and still at the same time carrying all of that financial responsibility? And am I happy with this decision now? And am I going to be still happy with this decision in 3 years' time, 5 years' time, in 15 years' time? This is a big decision. It doesn't need to just meet your immediate needs and goals now. It also needs to meet your long-term financial goals and needs and dreams. And of course, I'd ask myself, could I achieve something else with something similar, such as rent investing, or maybe moving into a slightly different area that's perhaps more affordable, or even using the government scheme? So I really hope that this episode has helped make you aware of Hope Housing, that it exists, that it's potentially an option, but more importantly, the finer details of how this may help or it may not help you with your financial journey. I would also like to take this moment to actually welcome any other particular questions from you as a listener that you would like me to break down, dissect, explore, and help give you some great insight into particular financial topics, products, or even strategies that you are wondering whether could be right for you. Of course, never personal advice or investment advice or strategic advice, but to help, make things clearer for you to understand and to then use and build upon your own research and form your own opinions. So if you have something you'd like me to go through with you and all the other listeners, simply send me a message on Instagram at SugarMamaTV or Canna Campbell Official, because I have really enjoyed diving into these sometimes complex topics and helping give you that confidence in your own financial decisions. So that is it for today. I really hope you've enjoyed this. If you could take a moment to leave me a rating and review, I would greatly appreciate it. And of course, send this to anyone you think that would benefit from listening to this episode or any of my other episodes. And I want you to remember, owning a home is a dream, but you've got to make sure that you do it on your own terms, with your eyes wide open, those rose-tinted glasses off, and doing so in a place of true financial empowerment. All right, everyone, thank you so much for listening. Please make sure you send this as episode to a friend or anyone else who is considering a shared equity model. And in the meantime, keep that financial fire burning bright within. This is Sugar Mama's Fire Plan.
Sam, it's time for me to introduce you to your new crush.
Go on.
Canadian Club Lemon Crush.
Of course, the taste buds have been screaming for a change.
And Canadian Club Lemon Crush is listening, with its balance of lemony zest and the smooth taste of Canadian Club.
Right now, there are 2,500 six-packs to be won. Scan your can or enter online for a chance, and always drink responsibly.
Canadian Club Lemon Crush. This zesty refreshment is your new crush.